Reform UK MP Lee Anderson has revealed exclusively to GB News that he secretly split from his wife of nearly 14 years and has put his family's Ashfield home up for sale. Reform UK's chief whip has been single now for nearly a year following the breakdown of his marriage to local Conservative councillor Sinead. Anderson, who has 2 sons from a previous marriage, has said that he remains close friends with his 46-year-old ex-wife. The Ashfield MP told GB News, "It's been a very difficult period working away for long periods of time, which has impacted our relationship, so we made the mutual decision to separate early last year. We are trying to sell our house as we both have moved on. We remain very good friends, and we will always support each other in the future." The Reform MP bought a 6-bedroom home during the summer of 2021, which went up for sale last July. The detached property is described as having a chef's dream for a kitchen and 4 modern bathrooms. Anderson has previously described his ex-wife as a fighter and a brilliant spirit over her determined response to her cystic fibrosis diagnosis. Sinead wasn't diagnosed until the age of 18 and had been told that she would not live to see her 30th birthday, but tied the knot to Anderson a few years later. Anderson also revealed that Sinead was the inspiration behind his decision to join the Tories in 2018. Having served as a Labour councillor, Anderson defected to the Tories and was elected to the House of Commons after Boris Johnson's landslide victory in 2019. Speaking about his wife's influence before his defection to Reform UK, Anderson said, "When people are banging on about the NHS and nasty Tories and all of this, I say, well, that's my wife. She had a double lung transplant under a Tory government, and thanks to the NHS, she's doing all right." Reform UK has seen a surge in popularity since Anderson's defection in March 2024, but that hasn't come without what's been described as a series of turbulent times by party leader Nigel Farage. During a difficult week which saw an internal spat involving now former Reform UK MP Rupert Lowe, tempers flared when Anderson was intercepted on his way out of Parliament by Liberal Democrat activist Steve Bray.
500 people.
How many parties have you been in, Lee? You just jumped ship.
I'm going to another party in a bit. So guess what?
That's assault. No. He went for me.
There's a thug.
He just
Nothing
went
but a
for
thug. No, he did.
He went for me.
Now listen, the easy option. He's a thug. You need arresting.
You're a coward, a liar, a cheat.
It's on camera. It's on camera.
Anderson appeared on GB News this week to defend his party leader Nigel Farage after Conservative leader Kemi Badenoch labelled the Clacton MP a reality star who she will not attempt to unite the right with.
Kemi Badenoch was interviewed yesterday evening and she had a pop at your leader Nigel Farage. She said Nigel Farage is a reality TV star. You don't want him running your life. I will not reunite the right with Farage. It's laughable. Look at Reform, only 5 of them, and they've already had a massive squabble. If they can't unite 5 people, how are they going to unite the right?
Well, Kemi's not even on the right, Martin, let's be honest. And I think politicians, sorry, Chris, but politicians who continually attack Nigel always come out worse. You know, he's been a politician, been involved in politics for nigh on 40 years now. To say he's just a reality TV star actually is quite ridiculous. Look, Nigel has been the most influential politician, I think, over the past 40 years.
He's never run anything, that's the point. He's good at the talking big game. What's he run?
Listen.
Kemi Badenoch has run a government department.
Exactly, and that's the problem. They're part of the problem. I'm sorry, Chris, you're part of the problem as well, because they've been in cabinet, these people, for the past God knows how long. They've been in power for 14 years. They're saying they've got experience. Experience in what? Messing the country up. That's what they've got experience in. So I think Kemi should just simmer it down a little bit. You know, Nigel's got a huge following in this country now. People are putting their trust in Nigel Farage and Reform UK. And to keep having a little silly, spiteful dig at Nigel, what does it do? It just turns more of them out to Conservatives. I know a lot of the Conservative voters. I've spoken at over 100 associations in the country. And you know now, when I go to the Reform UK Association dinners and events and fundraisers, it's nearly the same people, nearly all the same people.
Is that a fair point, Chris Philp? The attacking Nigel Farage is counterproductive, and talking about being a reality star, it seems a bit petty.
Well, I mean, look, we've seen members of his own parliamentary party, Rupert Lowe, attacking him. And only Nigel Farage has said he wants to destroy the Conservative Party. So, I think he's giving as good as he gets. And unfortunately, the Nigel Farage's approach to that at the general election last July led to a massive Labour landslide. And look at the damage they're now doing to our country. I think there is a more serious point. I'm not going to get into any sort of spat. But, look, I would say this. Nigel Farage has great slogans. I'll give him that. He has great slogans. But when it comes to sorting out these problems, you do need serious ideas as well.
You called him a false patriot, I believe, on this show a couple of weeks ago.
I don't think did I say that? I don't recall saying that. But what I would say is that we need to have serious, thought-through policies. And what I've been doing in the 3 or 4 months since becoming Shadow Home Secretary is doing that work. And that's why we've come up with reforms on indefinite leave to remain, to say if someone comes here to do a job and either don't work or only earn low wages, they should be asked to leave. They can't stay here for good. We're going to have that binding cap voted for by Parliament. I've also come up with a policy which the party has agreed to basically repeal the Human Rights Act in relation to immigration matters. These are all like serious policies that we've been thinking through carefully, and that is what we need to fix these issues. And I'm doing that work, and my colleagues in the Conservatives are doing that work as well. And we know the last government made some serious mistakes. We know that.
Lee, like to reply to that?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting what Chris says about, people who are coming on low-skilled jobs and low wages, not really making a contribution financially to our state, should leave the country. But, what happens, Chris, when they play the old human rights card and they say, well, what they're going to...
You're right, but that's why we've announced a couple of weeks ago that we're going to repeal the Human Rights Act for immigration matters, because you're right, they will play that card. And I've seen some terrible cases. There was a foreign criminal, a Zimbabwean paedophile, who should have been sent back to Zimbabwe, but he talked about his human rights. So that's why we've made the announcement to stop this nonsense happening.
That's fine. I want to come back on the Rwanda thing. I think, I'm going to be honest, Chris, when the first flight was on the tarmac 3.5 years ago, that flight should have taken off. I think our government at the time should have had the backbone, the will to send that flight off, come what may. And I think if that flight had gone off that day with those illegal migrants to Rwanda, this would have stopped by now.
Well, I mean, I certainly agree that sending people to Rwanda, or indeed anywhere else who cross the Channel, is going to act as a deterrent.
But why did you have the backbone, Chris, to do it?
Well, look, because there was a legal challenge. We passed an act through Parliament to sort out those legal challenges. But if we get back in, we are going to have that deterrent. And if people in Calais, illegal immigrants in Calais, know they're going to be bounced straight to Rwanda or anywhere else, they will not cross the Channel. And if that first flight had been allowed to take off on July the 24th last year, this problem would have been fixed by now. In Australia, they had a similar problem about 10 years ago.
But my constituents don't believe you, Chris. They don't trust you anymore on this issue. They just don't believe you.
Well, that's why we're coming up with serious, properly thought-through policies to explain how we're going to do this. I've explained a few of them just this afternoon, and we're going to do the serious work required to get this sorted out. We cannot have, since the election, almost 30,000 illegal immigrants crossing the Channel. We just can't have that.
Nigel Nelson, immigration, both legal and illegal, again, it's a topic that will not go away. It's a topic that looks set to dominate the next few years of the electoral cycle, right the way through to the next general election. Can the Labour Party do anything about this? They seem to talk tough, but nobody's listening. Well, the figures are going through the roof.
What they won't do is Rwanda. There was never any evidence at all it was ever going to work. You already spent £700 million on it. It would have cost £10 billion if you got the whole thing off the ground. So we don't know that would act as a deterrent, and Labour certainly wouldn't go that route. We'll see if actually attacking these smuggling gangs works. We don't know. I don't think anyone's come up with a proper answer to immigration, either legal or cross-channel immigration. When you talk about, when Chris Philp talks about a cap on immigration, what you should do is design immigration for what the economy needs. You won't know if you have a vote in January whether that need will change by December. So caps basically don't work.
Can I quickly ask you both, as you're here, is there any chance of any form of even backroom deal between the Reform Party and the Conservative Party? Stand aside here, don't stand there, as we saw with the Liberal Democrats and Labour Party. If people that watch this show all the time say, if you're serious about getting rid of Keir Starmer's government, wouldn't it be the right thing to do to at least have some form of covert, even gentleman's agreement?
Well, if it was covert, I wouldn't be discussing it. But there's no. As far as I'm aware, there's no intention to do that. I mean, Nigel Farage has said his plan is to destroy the Conservative Party, so that makes it a bit difficult. What we're doing is just fighting to win with conservative ideas, conservative principles, a new approach, new leadership, carefully thought out ideas. We're here to take the fight to Keir Starmer and beat him at the next election. It's as simple as that.
Lee Anderson.
Yeah, it's not Reform UK, Martin, that's let the country down over the past 14 years. It's a Conservative Party and it's the Labour Party now that's letting the country down. We've got 220,000 members. Yeah, we've only got 4 MPs, we know that, but the momentum is with the Reform UK, and we don't need to do any deals at the moment. We'll see, Chris, in May this year, May the 1st, we've got the local elections. I predict we're going to get hundreds of seats, and that'll be a big wake-up call for the Conservative Party.
OK, final word to you, Chris Hope. A week is a long time in politics, 4 years is an eternity. Do you think there will be a point where this lot are going to have to break the bread and do some sort of backroom deal?
Well, they can't just anything covert or... I mean, I think everyone's hedging their bets on this. I think the Tories exist to be in power. They're a shape-shifting party. That's why they're the most successful party in modern democratic history. I can see them doing a deal. I don't think there's a strength and depth in Reform UK to run a country. I think there is in the Tory party. I think, though, that Nigel Farage sets the hairs running. He draws the eye. He does have that extra edge, the showbiz sparkle, which Kevin Badenoch admits to. I think most people on the right tell me they want the two parties to come together, but you won't get that in the studio today.
Okay, I have to leave it there. Thank you very much, Chris Philp, Lee Anderson, Chris Hope and Nigel Nelson. A spirited debate. Thank you very, very much.